Famous Radio podcast with your host, Jeffy McJefferson. Let's go.
And welcome to the Almost Famous Radio podcast. Jeffy McJefferson here, and guess what we got, man? We got L Dude. Yeah, I know. He's a very popular guy. All right. Anyway, what's up, L Dude?
Hey, not much, man. Just proud to be here. Proud to be part of this. Can't wait to get into some good topics.
Can't wait either. Of course, we do the table thing. What you got?
I'm doing Mac and Jacks from Redmond, Oregon. It's an African amber.
That's one of your favorites.
It is.
Yeah.
It's a go-to. It's brewed about, I don't know, three hours away from here. Been there lots of times. Redmond, Oregon. It's nice. It's kind of in the high desert part of Oregon. People don't understand that actually Oregon has a high desert.
They don't.
Area.
I didn't know that until I moved here, honestly.
Yeah, Southeast Oregon is high desert, and we got all the benefits of that. And there's a beautiful mountain over there as well. So for winter recreation and hiking, fishing, it's a beautiful part of the country.
That's cool. I'm doing Celebration as usual. Well, this time of year as usual, if you heard any of the last couple of podcasts. But the reason we're here, L Dude and Jeffy McJ are here to save college football.
Definitely feel like it's worth saving. It's been a passion of mine for, my whole adult life. Played small college football and baseball. College sports is really important to me. I think it teaches, sports in general teaches a lot of life lessons that people can live through and learn from. It teaches how to handle adversity. It teaches how to strive for something, set goals. And if you're a young athlete out there, set your goals. Don't let anybody tell you can't reach them, because only you can decide if they are not reachable.
Nicely said. Okay, so, we could touch on a few things. We could touch on NIL. You want to start there? Or you want to start with the portal?
I just think the whole thing is needing so much thought to go into it. It needs some guardrails. Both topics. It's the wild, wild west out there, and unfortunately, in the wild, wild west, you've got the positives. You've got the people that are taking advantage. I don't mean that. I mean that are.
Yeah, they are.
They're doing what they can. They're doing what they can to exploit it. But then you've got a whole underlying, just like the wild, wild west. You've got the haves and the have-nots, and
I agree with that.
It's really come down to. You and I were talking earlier, this week about just the difference. There's about 40-ish schools out there that are going to rule the whole Division I football playoff, and basically the 40 or 50, we can probably expand it to 50 schools that have a chance. The portal, all the 50 schools are just going to swap players. I'm all for some of the changes that have happened, but I'm also really, really worried that it's not going to be sustainable.
I agree. And then, excuse me, sorry. With NIL, I'm going to tie this into the portal as well. But NIL with the money, I don't disagree with college football players getting some money. Okay. First, I was kind of like old school, like, oh man, this is kind of crazy. But I watched Pony Excess, I'm a 30 for 30 guy. And then Pony Excess was one of my favorite ones, and that was about SMU in the 80s, where all the oil dudes, they were basically, it was basically NIL, honestly, with that team. But now that it's all good, I'm okay with it. But it looks right now it looks like there's going to be a bidding war, and there's nobody that can challenge the bidding war.
There's no system set up. There's no rules. It's how much money you have and how you want to use it. And like you said, SMU way back before the death penalty, they got caught.
Again and again.
But when they got caught, they weren't the only ones. And you would be stupid to think that there wasn't 15 other colleges doing similar stuff that didn't get caught.
Oh, there was. Okay. Did you watch Pony Excess?
Yeah. I'm a huge Eric Dickerson fan, and
who had a gold Corvette from Texas A&M because he was going to go to Texas A&M. Then he switched to SMU, and so Texas A&M. There's no dang way that they can turn that in because they gave him a fucking car.
Yeah, but there's the old saying that Eric took a pay cut when he went to the NFL, and people laugh at that. They can smile about it, but that was the honest to God truth. He was probably getting paid twice as much as what the NFL paid him for his first rookie season. But it was widespread back then. It was just, how could you hide it? And they didn't. They didn't hide it. They didn't hide it very well.
No.
But I mean, 20 years later, you got the Reggie Bush, and maybe 25 years later, you got the Reggie Bush. You've got recently, as soon as Michigan started beating Ohio State, all of a sudden there's a few things sketchy going on with Michigan, supposedly.
Yeah. Allegedly. Courtesy of Ohio State.
Well, courtesy of anybody. I mean, who turned into SMU? I mean, it was probably Texas. It was probably LSU.
They pretty much
it was probably Notre Dame.
Everybody was doing it, so they couldn't do it. They just screwed themselves, honestly. But your point was incredible in that was NIL back then. That was NIL.
It was illegal back then, but now it's not. It
was ILL, illegal.
Nice. I today really, what really upsets me today is just the whole dynamics and the business of sports it's now college football, baseball, and basketball is basically just the same as pro. It's unfortunately there's 15 guys on a team making money, and then there's 60 other guys that aren't.
Basketball, they could go one and done at least.
Yeah.
I mean, true.
Well, we all know that football pays for everything else. So basketball does contribute because of the TV contracts, but baseball is a negative. I say a suck.
It is a suck.
It's a negative on the balance sheet, the bottom line, profit and loss statement of a college. Basketball is a money loser as well, believe it or not. And football is the king sport that finances all of not only all of the men's sports and female sports. Title IX couldn't even couldn't exist without football, without the resources that football brings in.
Right. What I was saying about basketball is I was talking about the athletes. They can at least go one and done. They can go 1 year out. Football players can't. right now. So, should there be a one and done there? That just popped in my mind, by the way. I'm sorry to blindside.
No,
you
I
with
love
that
your
one.
tangent. I love your tangent. So basically, you've got 19-year-olds going to the NFL. You have a lot of things to consider there. There's a lot of people that said one and done in basketball has ruined the NBA.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Jeffy McJ back again to let everybody know that Rayette, Jody, and Carolyn all came in. We recorded a killer Christmas special. It's going to drop on December 21st, so stay tuned for the fun. Now let's get back to our show.
Yeah.
I didn't like the one. I didn't mind the college. I didn't mind the high school guys going.
Well, I think anytime you're letting 18 and 19-year-olds into a sport that's competing with 30-year-olds, you're going to have some disparity there. There's only going to be a few high school players that can come in and actually contribute and be superstars.
Kobe.
There's only a few. But, and I think it's the same with one and done. There's only 10 that are going to actually make an effect in the NBA. And the rest of them are projects that they're going to have to improve when they're 19, 20, and 21. They're going to have to take their game to the next level. In the old days, that used to be in college.
Sure.
And now today,
They have the G League.
yeah. Yeah. So one and done, and you go to the G League. First of all, with NIL, you're taking a pay cut.
You could be taking
You're
a pay
taking
cut.
a huge pay cut.
Could be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's, yeah, your tangent is formidable. I don't see a one and done in football.
Well, you can't. I mean, really, because the players aren't. How would I want to put this? They won't be physically ready for the NFL.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're still pitting 19-year-old
You're
boys
still growing and stuff like
against
that.
30-year-old men, but also 80% of all freshmen in D1 redshirt.
I want to talk about red shirts here later on too. Just don't forget. Don't let me forget that, please.
Well, people don't understand that there's only 20% of freshmen that start as true. Well, that contribute enough to count that year. Only 20%.
Mm-hmm.
The other 80% redshirt. So you got the 5 to play 4. Now with COVID, you got the 6 to play 4.
Done now. So all these guys. Cam Rising is he was the same high school graduating class as freaking Trevor Lawrence.
Yeah, I think we have one more year of COVID.
You have one more year of Cam Rising next year.
Yeah, but
By the way, he's a quarterback of Utah. If you didn't know.
Yeah, I think we got one more
because he always gets hurt. Sorry,
but those people that were freshmen during COVID, I think they have one more year, so they'll actually have the 6 to play 4, because 1 didn't count, so they could actually kind of play 5. I'm not sure exactly how that works, but yeah, that's over. Football is kind of a different sport in that the maturity of the body has to, because of the physicality of football, it's really hard to pit 19-year-olds against 30-year-olds. So right now they have to play 3.
yeah.
Okay, before they're eligible. And I like that system.
I don't mind it.
But I mean, if you don't mind, we need to go back to the topic NIL.
Sure.
We need to dissect it. We need to look at whether it is sustainable. It is. I mean, I truly believe it is not without some kind of regulations. But then there are no regulations on the player side. There's no. They're not part of an antitrust. They're not part of a system, a college system, to where there's some kind of body that can regulate it. The player side has no representation.
Nope.
And the reason for that is because it's illegal to restrict free trade between there's no regulation, there's no governing body for the player side. So what happened is the other side was taking advantage of them, and now we swung the pendulum so far that the players basically, there's nothing. They could take $10 million and leave in the portal next year.
Is there going to have to be a salary cap, so to speak?
In order to have a salary cap, you have to have regulatory bodies that are actually recognized.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we're going to tie this all together.
On the college side, on the conglomerate that college is, where you have a system that they can say, if you are in my conference or you're in my D1, let's go
D1, then everybody knows. Yeah.
There's FBS, FCS. There's 2 divisions of D1. So they have people that they can come in and say, in our little system of so many D1, FBS, FCS schools, we are going to have a salary cap.
Sure.
Now you get into the fact of the other side saying, you can't stop me from making money. There's no regulatory. The players aren't going to go, oh, you mean we have a limit when we don't have a limit now? I mean, let's just for this conversation say that $500 million is being spent in D1 FBS, FCS football. Say there's a $200 million. The players are going to say, why can't we have 250 million? The reason the salary cap is because of antitrust. The reason the salary cap works is because the Players Association, there is a Players Association in football with the salary cap. And so you have 2 negotiating bodies that set this salary cap. Right now, you only have one side that can have regulations. The other side can't. There's no regulation on the player side.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing, the NCAA has not been good at anything regarding stuff like this anyway. So they would botch it just like they botch everything else. So I'm not sure that that's an answer, but there's NIL-wise, I'm not really sure how to, I don't want to say tamp it down, but tamp it down.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hey there, Jeffy McJ here with a reminder you can check out the cast with pictures and bios on our website. It's going to be at afradiopodcast.buzzsprout.com. Believe it or not, you can send us fan mail there too. You can also stay updated on our Almost Famous Radio podcast page on Facebook. And if you really want to send us the good, the bad, the ugly, also topics you would love us to hit on, we have our email at almostfamousradiopodcast@gmail.com. Let's get back to the show.
I agree with you 100%. There needs to be guardrails. Because if they don't, it's going to blow up. It's just going to blow up. Right now, there's just no guardrails. There's no rules. It's basically, I'm going to get mine, and I'm one of the 10 or 15 players on this 53. Well, in football, it's 53. In pro football, it's 53.
To say 100 man.
I'm just going to say, in D1 football, you have about 100 players.
Yeah.
You're going to suit down 40 or 50, but you have the players, the system, that is running the scout teams and all that stuff. So, but really, we're only talking about the top 20 players, the top 15 players. The third string wide receiver that practices every day, works his ass off in the weight room, goes to all the meetings, meets the minimum grade requirements to be on the team,
which is laughable now.
Depending on the school.
Come on now.
Well, okay. Depending on the school, Stanford is not the same
No,
as
UCF.
UCF. Yes, perfect example.
Sorry, we're not picking down UCF. We're just but there you go.
They just have different standards. There's nothing wrong with it, but right now you have 4 or 5 academic schools that are in the top 20. The rest of them are recruiting players that don't have the certain academic grades, but you still only have 15-ish players out of 100 that are making money. The third string wide receiver ain't making a dime.
Sure.
How is that fair?
Are they not making it? They're not making a dime. How do we know? I mean, that's just how what I'm asking. How do I know that the third string wide receiver is not making a dime? Hell, Danny Stutzman from OU, a linebacker who's maybe an All-American this year, gave his NIL money he spread it out amongst the team, which is commendable. And I'm an OU fan. I'm not just being a honk, but I'm just saying that, you have some of these guys that are like that, but then there's way, way, way more that are not like that.
If you would like me to bring in the tax system and how this is all working, I definitely can. I'm so happy for that guy that did that, but he can only give so much to other players for it not to be taxable. He still has to pay taxes on the full amount.
He's going to get drafted, though. He'd be fine.
I understand.
When you're an All-American, or considered an All-American, you're gonna get drafted. You're gonna be able to do that. So that's cool.
Well, okay, yeah, and don't cry for the person that gets $1 million that has to pay $200,000-$300,000 in taxes. Don't cry. He still gets the $700,000.
That's right.
Okay,
that's right.
And maybe those numbers.
And he can dole it out however he wants.
I'm generalizing those numbers, so please don't call into the and scold me on that. I rounded a few things here and there. With good money management.
Yeah, because there's going to be assholes that, they might just, if you want to email us, fine. Just, it's going to go basically, I don't know, it's going to be something like, so anyway, go ahead.
But please, I'm just speaking in generalities. If I'm their accountant, they're going to pay way less than 30%. Just because I'm going to help manage their money and make it work for them. If they do nothing, they're going to lose 40% of their money. That's if they do nothing. So hopefully these athletes are getting great accounting advice from different people that they believe in. So but still, you got one guy paying the $200,000 or $300,000 in taxes. You got one person not paying it. There's another. I'd like to. Now, when I say there's no way that the player side has any representation so that it can't be controlled, but let's, for this conversation, say that somehow there becomes one.
Okay.
Now we can say what would be the best case scenario if this NIL was to be spread out over the 100 players. The money goes into a pot for all players. They all share it. And I think that would be a wonderful thing.
Now your quarterback's going to get the most, and then you can just tear it down from there, right?
Well, you're going to have to establish, starters can get this much, blah, 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 blah.
Now, however, okay.
But then you're creating the exact same system that's called NFL football.
Right. So that's salary cap.
Well, the special team player doesn't make as much as the starting running back. The diva wide receivers, excuse me. Sorry, they all are. They are. And they prove it every year. And if you watch the news in the last 2 or 3 weeks, you see these diva wide receivers. Last few days.
Yeah.
But still, it's the same thing. The special teams players not making as much as the starting running back, so you're gonna have different tiers of players, and if it's all spread out between them, I think it's fair. You're going to have a few players that say, no, my 10 million is my 10 million.
Well, speaking of 10 million. Okay, so are we sure this guy got lured to Michigan for $10 million?
Is it 100% sure? No, but all the reports say.
Yes, right? That's amazing. I mean, that's just, I just don't understand that. So, I mean, I don't want to bag on a dude, man, for not getting his money. Because it's not him that's doing it. I mean, Michigan, if Michigan did do this, it's Michigan that's going to pay for it. But that's just, to me, a little bit outrageous for an unproven product.
Yeah, I mean,
$10 million? If that's true,
Jeff, you come from the Midwest. You understand oil money. You understand what's a lot more than I do. The ego and the vanity
of the South, yeah,
of the South, and then the Texas and the oil region.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. It's how much I can pump up my chest when I walk into a room. If I gave 10 million to SMU, if I gave 10 million to Texas Tech, if I gave 10 million to Michigan, if I walked in that room, you damn well better respect me.
Yeah, well,
you better, I look better in the mirror because I was able to give 10 million. That's the vanity. I'm just going to the vanity.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's the way it is, especially down there, like you were saying, and I was talking to you about this earlier, but, you remember the J.R. Ewing, on Dallas, those kind of guys. Those guys are real, man. They're real. It's not, they didn't make that show up out of nowhere. And these guys will just take their money and go, hey, man, I'm going to build the team. The SMU. Oh, look who's in the playoff this year. I called that last year. And it's only going to get bigger, but at least as far as I'm concerned, I'm going off track. Kind of.
You're not going off track. I mean, it's basic economics. Whether you own Oracle or whether you own Nike, whether your money is on oil. You can say the same things that Jeff Bezos has the biggest yacht.
Yeah.
Until Michael Jordan buys a bigger yacht.
Yeah.
And then, the owner of Oracle is going to buy a bigger yacht.
It's an ego thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's that's the whole thing. And that's what's the scary part of it. And then there's no regulation after the quarterback gets the money from Michigan. If he doesn't start his freshman year or his second year, poof, he goes to the next place that gives him 10 million. Joe Burrow.
I'm going to talk about that too here in a minute because I want to get on that, but go ahead.
Well, Joe Burrow, he started at Ohio State, didn't get to play, transferred to LSU, got a great offensive coordinator in Joe Brady.
Yep.
Won a national championship.
Beat the ever-loving piss out of my OU Sooners in the freaking playoffs. Yeah, but anyway.
Could have quite possibly had the best quarterback year ever in college football history.
But boy, didn't he have some receivers, though, too. So he had some divas, but they're good.
LSU's always had receivers.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah. And so now, there's just the one player you mentioned that gave his money to the rest of the team.
Danny Stutzman.
Okay, well,
linebacker, University of Oklahoma.
He has an idea. He was brought up right. I'm just going to say his mom and dad did him right because he understands culture. He understands that. I think. How many times does the quarterback for an NFL team buy his offensive lineman a side by side? buys 20 of them, 10 of them, sorry.
Rolexes. Yeah.
Rolexes. I mean, we've seen it. We've seen it.
Sure.
You got the $30 million quarterback, now almost $60 million quarterback.
They are $60 million.
That knows that the center, the guard, the tackle is his lifeblood, and they're not making near that kind of money. So he gives them a nice present. I would love for quarterbacks to spread the wealth. I would love for the diva wide receivers to spread the wealth. But where's the return on investment, Jeff? What do these guys get for all their millions that they're giving to
You're talking
these
about
college
the college
kids?
guys. Okay.
To the college kids. What are they getting?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know. It's mystifying, but it's not really mystifying. But like you were saying, Wild Wild West. Now, with the transfer portal, we can probably regulate it a little bit with the transfer portal, because if a player, okay, I'm going to say Jackson. Okay, I'm going back to my Sooners. Jackson Arnold hit the portal. Selfish guy, as far as I'm concerned, because Dylan Gabriel left to go to Oregon. He was our quarterback. I'm sure he was paid handsomely by Uncle Phil, but still, nonetheless, he's a pretty stand-up guy. And Jackson Arnold, 5-star, had a pretty bad, well, as all of my beloved Sooners that had a bad year. Our offensive line was just terrible. But he showed nothing. And Dylan Gabriel handed him the keys to the program. And he went portal. And he just signed with Auburn. And I'm like, okay, this is kind of bullshit. So what, let me know what you think about this. Okay. Somebody wants to transfer out. Fine. You get one transfer. If you transfer again, well, actually, let me go back. If you want to transfer out, that's good. Okay. It's perfectly fine. But the NIL money that you got, say Jackson Arnold got $1 million NIL, and then he transfers out. Okay. He gets signed by Auburn. Auburn should take that $1 million and put it back into Oklahoma's NIL fund. Okay. Now, if there's a coaching change, we could go back to the same deal. If coach leaves or get fired or whatever, that's a free transfer. Okay. Any other player that wants to go into a transfer portal a second time, they lose a year of eligibility. What do you think?
I love the idea. I love any proposed regulations. I love that idea. It would curtail some of it. You could say you can make it so that you can make 2 portal changes in your college career. You can have repercussions, like you're saying, that one school pays the other school. I love it. We're putting guardrails on something that doesn't have guardrails.
Yeah.
I think that's incredible. A humongous other topic is the coaching. Now, the coaches are employees. So, okay, the players are not employees. As an employee, there are all kinds of rules and regulations that are built into the employment contracts. So a school is compensated. You have buyouts. You have all these things. So the coaching, I know that the whole thing about the portal came about because a coach could leave. You go to a college because of this XYZ coach. And 1 year later, the XYZ coach leaves your college to go to another college, and then you could not do nothing. If you transferred, you had to sit out a year. And so...
No, I don't think that's right.
No, in the old days.
No, I thought that if a coach got fired or quit, then you were free to transfer.
That is only recent. That is only in recent years.
Okay.
You go back 4 or 5 years and the players had they were still obligated to that college without having a sit out year.
Okay.
If they transferred interdivision. Now they could go to a lower tier college, or a lower tier college could go to an upper tier college.
Cam Newton.
Correct. Now, and so they allowed, that was the first step that now came to what we have now, was that people were saying it was unfair to the players when the coach could leave. Now, that's great in all. And so the knee-jerk reaction was, okay, if a coach can leave, now we're going to let players leave and not lose a year. That was the first step.
And I didn't mind that.
No, I agree because you signed up for one thing and it changed.
You got recruited by XY, coach or ex coach or whatever. Uh-huh. And then coach leaves, and then, you're like, dude, I came here, I signed the play for this coach at this university.
Yeah, and what we came to, let's look at where we came to from that little change to now you can transfer 5 times.
Or more.
In the portal.
Yeah.
In the portal. And so there's no loyalty, there's no culture. There's all kinds of things that we need to put guardrails on. So that's what we're talking about today. What guardrails will work? I love the ones you've came up with so far. I think that I would love for there to be, okay, you mentioned yours of the portal and being able to change. I believe you said like one time or
you get one free.
You get one free.
However, the school that he signs with pays the university that he leaves the NIL money that they paid him.
Yep. I love it. And so let me propose another one.
Sure. This is why we're here. That's why we're here to save college football.
High five, brother. High five.
Yes.
Let's do this. Here's my next one. 50% of all NIL money 50% goes to the player, 50% goes to the program. The other 50% is spread out amongst the whole program. So if you got 100 players, 50% of that guy's money goes to the other 99 players in some kind of capacity. Okay. That way the offensive lineman is taken care of. I mean, you cannot have a $10.5 million quarterback playing for a freaking offensive lineman that's getting $25,000.
Who's protected his ass?
Yes. You can't even build a culture.
Yeah.
I mean, I coached youth sports for 25 years. Culture is everything. It's the coaching staff creates the culture. The culture determines the right and wrong within the culture. Your seniors police everything that happens below so that your coaching staff doesn't have to. Okay. You've got to have this leadership. Your leadership leads. And so I think my proposal is that if you get $10.5 million, 5.25 goes to the system. Now, you can even say that it goes to, I would love it to go to the whole athletic department.
Women's sports, other sports, and things like that.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Because if the football team, say the NIL budget for the football team is $50 million. You're some people out there that are listening to this are laughing right now thinking that that's not true. It is.
Well,
it's going to be that a football team is getting $50 million every year. The quarterback's getting 10, 3 wide receivers are getting 10. Between them, there's 20. You got the 1 million, the 1 million, the 1 million, the 1 million going to the linebacker, to the defensive outside linebacker, if you will, in the 3-4. Your pass rushers, you got $1 million going, 3 or 4 million going to your interior defensive linemen.
Yep. Quarters, safeties, running
Yeah, you got
backs.
another $1 million going to your offensive line. You got the $50 going to your kicker.
Oh well, you can give him a coupon for like Papa John's or something too.
Yeah, but what if if it's a $50 million budget, what if $25 million went to the lacrosse player, to the wrestler, the NIL, the only teams in wrestling right now that are paying NIL is Iowa, Oregon State.
Yeah,
there's about 5 teams,
probably Penn State, Oklahoma State,
that has wrestlers making NIL. But what if half went to all of them?
Yeah, and then okay, I'm going to go back to the school that I love, Oklahoma softball, who's defending 4-time national champions. I mean, come on, this. It's unprecedented, and so why aren't these girls getting some kind of a piece of the pie? If they are, I don't know. I'm sorry. So
I would hope that they're splitting $1 million.
I hope something.
But I can't tell you right now because the people getting 25,000 aren't on the radar.
It's just a lot of dark money.
All we hear about is the Michigan guy getting $10.5 million.
Yeah, and there's a lot of dark money. Apparently,
it is
that's what it is.
It's all dark money,
and it's killing me. Because I don't mind it. I don't mind. Like I said, when we said from the start, I don't mind players getting paid. I don't mind players transferring out one time, unless their coach bugs out on them. Unless they Pete Carroll somebody,
and then you get 2. Yeah,
and then you get a free one there. But man, what about all the other programs in at the university? Like you said, basketball team and lacrosse, women's, with the softball team, baseball, soccer, for crying out loud, which I hate that sport anyway. But anyway, but it still all counts.
Well, yeah, and let's get philanthropic just for like 10 seconds in this podcast. What about the cancer research happening? What about the at the universities? A lot of cancer research is in the universities. A lot of there's cures for different diseases happening at the university. Is that more important than the athletes? What if they got a chunk of it? Well,
I don't know if they need NIL. I mean, because that goes back to me. At least that goes back to the football program. Brings in so much money to the university. They don't really need NIL because they can take that chunk and use that for the research and stuff like that the football program brings in. I don't think they need NIL for that.
I'm just saying. Where does it stop? Does it just stop with the athletes, or does it actually go to the biology department? I mean,
right.
I mean, maybe.
I get what you're saying now. Sorry, I'm okay. You're saying you got a freaking incredible scientist that you have there that probably could use some NIL.
Well, there's
not just a scholarship, right? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Okay. Universities serve so many purposes in the United States, the United States university system. I'm not familiar with the foreign, Europe or any kind of Asian systems in theirs.
Nor do we care. Yeah, we do, but
okay.
But
I'm just saying, that's what I'm saying. There is all kinds of super, super important research that needs funding at these universities to cure diseases, to make the next green fuel, other than than EV, other than these things. There's all kinds of things that are these college students and these programs are doing. If they had a little more funding, what could we accomplish in this world? I mean, I just want to get philanthropic just for a couple seconds and saying that why does it have to start with just the sports program? stop with just a sports program. Excuse me.
It really doesn't, but go ahead.
But how much more can we do? I mean, when we're coming up with brainstorming ideas of how to regulate this, how to make it better, how to direct it so that everybody wins. Instead of the 15 football players, the 1 women's basketball players, the 3 men's basketball players, 4 guys on the baseball team.
This is why I love El Dude on here, because I mean, I wanted to come on here to save college football. He's going to save colleges. I love that. I love you, man. That's awesome. I mean, I wasn't thinking that deep and that far down the road.
Just the millions and millions of dollars that's just being thrown around can do so much good in all aspects of our life. And it's just ridiculous to me that it's just the vanity of some millionaire or billionaire and the 15 or 15% of all athletes in the whole program of the college that benefit.
Yeah, okay.
Why can't we say 10% goes to this, 20% goes to this, 50% goes to that one athlete, to the athlete that actually earned it. And then let's just throw this out. The term NIL is such an oxymoron.
It's fake.
It's so fake because the whole strive was they're using my name, image, and likeness to benefit.
Video games.
To benefit.
That's where it started.
It started with video games. Okay. Now they're paying and they're not even using
the
image and likeness.
I rarely see any college students, athletes, student athletes, that's laughable. Anyway, on TV.
Or in advertising. Or in,
anything else. Yeah. So it's like.
Yeah, that's just a term they're using. It's not really using their name, image, and likeness. And these investors are getting 0 on their return on investment.
I know that kills you. As what you do in life, that kills you. I know it. It does.
It does.
Now, to me, that the return on investment, I don't even look at because that's not my wheelhouse. I don't know. I'm just a simpleton. Okay. But, I do think I have a grasp on things, and especially with college sports, just like you and, just like me and you talk about, not just here, but, when we're sitting around having a couple of beers at the table. But, I mean, I really wanted to get into this because, like I said, I want us to save college football. I keep saying this over and over, but if people hear it or somebody hears it and thinks it's a good idea, I would love to hear about it personally.
Oh, I'd love to have a pros and cons conversation.
Yeah,
with anybody. Can you show me any pros? I'm sorry. Other than minority athletes getting money that they have so long not been able to get in the past.
Because it was brutal on those guys before. I mean, you couldn't take money for a pizza.
Oh, I agree. There was a complaining, 20, 30 years ago, you're complaining you couldn't take your girlfriend out for a pizza and a movie.
Sure.
And I mean, we can all get into the discussion of how much their college education was worth and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. Well, that's the old fallback.
But let's go back to, let's go. What's broken, what's truly, truly broken and needs to be fixed is the starting quarterback of Oklahoma leaving again.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it's you as an Oklahoma fan, it affects, but I'm an Oregon Duck fan. I would be so livid if my starting quarterback who, played for me, did well for me, will do even better next year, leaves.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
And it's happening to Oklahoma. It's happening
It's
to
happening to
Iowa.
everybody.
It's happened to Iowa State, Oklahoma State. You've got the top 30 schools are going to win, and the rest are not.
Okay,
gonna win.
okay. I was just talking to you earlier about Marshall. They opted out of a fucking bowl game because they've had so many people, so many guys hit the portal. And we were talking. You were like, okay, maybe let's. And that's my first thought was your thought. Don't open up the portal until after the bowl games, but then they'll opt out. A lot of these guys will opt out. Okay, and then they'll wait for the portal to open, and then they'll just go, and they won't even play in the game anyway. And so, my idea was that, like I told you before, that I thought would be good is like get a round table, get a powwow with a lot of these universities, and I want you to tell everybody what you told me and what you thought about it. But Marshall opted out. I'd love to see Oklahoma opt out. I would normally love to see Oklahoma opt out, but I think they're playing Navy, and that's a different deal, man. That's that's it's Navy, man. It's one of the armed forces, so it's like, man, I don't want to do that to Navy, but anyway, let's band together and say, okay, I'm not going to play in this bowl game. Our school is not going to play in this bowl game. Our school is not going to play in this bowl game. Our school is not going to play in this bowl game unless something's fucking done about it. And there's something. It may come to something like that. Just to freaking god dang, man, to make these people. I want to call them people. Think about what they're doing to this freaking sport. Sorry, man, I got off on a tangent right there.
No, don't be sorry.
But there you go.
You're speaking the truth. You're seeing the downfall, and we're here trying to save it.
That's right.
You're seeing the beginning of the end.
I'm seeing AAA baseball in fucking football is what I'm seeing.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to coach high school football, and if my top, we had 100 people in our program, and yeah, we've got our superstars. We got our 4 or 5 athletes that are going to go on to play college football, and if 10 of my guys said, "I'm leaving the program," I'd take the other 90 and go play that damn bowl game.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, as a coach, I mean, Marshall has to have 120 people in their program. For them to cancel,
man, and I don't know the logistics of it. I mean, those players just might have said, you know what, fuck it. If all these sons of bitches are leaving, let's regroup. Let's get it back together and let's go next year.
But if they're saying, you know what, fuck it, that's a sign that we gotta fix it.
Well, it is. I mean, I don't know if it was. I don't know if they did say that, but I know that I just know that they opted out. And if a team opts out of a bowl game, and bowl games are actually precious to some teams, man, because you get extra practices. You have, people can, your freshmen and your red shirts. I've got to get to the red shirts. I forgot about that. I want red shirts gone, by the way. And stuff like that. And you get all this extra, and you can get all these guys with reps and stuff like that to get ready for next year that aren't in the playoffs or even in the playoffs. But I'm going to get to the red shirt because I almost forgot about it because I said that. I think also with this portal shit, red shirt gone. If you play in one game, that's it. I mean, it doesn't even matter you play in one game. There's no red shirt. You can't have everything all you want in this one freaking beautiful universe, this Milky Way of everything that they were doing right now. And then say, okay, you can transfer. There's a portal. There's NIL. There's this, that, and the other. Oh, but you can redshirt. And then you hit that redshirt and then the portal next year. So redshirt out too. So there you go.
I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, it's so crazy that those half of those people that are redshirting are actually getting money from NIL.
If they are, yeah, they might be.
Not,
they are.
It's not just the starters.
It does, yeah, you're right. Exactly. And so,
I mean, there is some people getting $1 million that didn't. They're second or third string.
we could only play him 4 games so we can protect his red shirt. Fuck the red shirt. No red shirt.
Well, back before the portal and stuff, that was culture building. That was
Yes.
you had 25 people
Yep.
on scholarship as freshmen that you could count on to become redshirt freshmen the next year.
Exactly.
And build your program and your culture. With the portal, there's no culture, there's no building, there's nothing.
So what the fuck's a red shirt?
Yeah, I totally agree with you. That should be blown out too.
It's gone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, but it started with, 15 years ago, we had a few people that were going to be drafted in the first round. They stopped playing in their bowl games. They started opting out. Now we got a whole team opting out.
Yeah. There you go.
It's the slippery slope.
Yeah.
It's the unsustainability of the whole system we're talking about. That we're trying to save, God damn it, because we love it. Because we love being fans. We love seeing young men excel at something that they do very, very well, that they've worked their asses off since they were 12, 13, 14, 15 years old to accomplish something, to get out of the ghetto, to become something, to be, support a family in the future. And it's just, it's blowing up right in front of us.
Right in front of us, because this is like, college football was and still is my passion. I love it. I mean, I've always loved college football. I mean, that's where I was raised, and stuff like that. Didn't have a pro team where I lived at. I got lucky to be born in a state that basically is one of the blue bloods, so to speak. And I live and breathe on it, man, and stuff like this. Is all of us do in the South, and even it's procured itself out west, USC and Oregon now. Oregon wasn't always a powerhouse, but UCLA was damn good, and Washington had their little thing every now and then, but it's down south, man. That's it. The passion you see from these people down there is just ungodly compared to anywhere else. It makes everybody else look like, Mr. Rogers. And to have this whole thing do this and the way it's working right now, I love the playoff, by the way. I do love the 12 team, but with the portal and the NIL and everything, I have all this stuff like that, man. It's kind of disappointing. I like some parts of the NIL. I like some parts of the portal, but we've already made that clear. But it's going to take a rebel, and looks like maybe Marshall might have been the first one that domino. Maybe there's going to be a lot of other dominoes fall after that. I hope so. Just to say, okay, we understand what you're saying now. Let's fix this thing. I mean, that was a lot of word salad for nothing, but I just wanted to let you know what I thought.
That's not word salad. That's not word salad. You're making perfect sense. God damn it. I love amateur athletics. I have for 30 years, 40 years now. I love amateur athletics. And just so you know, I'm not a hypocrite. I don't want the NBA players in the Olympics. I don't want professional golfers golfing in the Olympics.
I don't either.
I want to watch the Olympics. If the United States gets their ass kicked in the Olympics with amateur athletes, then we got to get better amateur athletes.
You know what though? Okay, how much ass have we kicked before? A lot with amateur athletes.
Absolutely.
So I don't think we lose one freaking international basketball tournament, and then we have to fucking send the pros to the fucking Olympics.
Yeah, well, the Olympics are not amateur anymore. All the freaking track and field athletes are making money. They're pros.
Right.
Now the basketball team's a pro. Now, gosh dang, the baseball team. Blah blah blah
Right.
blah blah.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you straight up. I'm not a hypocrite. I love amateur athletics.
No,
I love amateur athletics because it's true, and it was legitimate, and it was transparent. It was the best of your best that were doing it because they love the sport, not because they're getting paid to do it.
Right.
And now amateur athletics is basically non-existent now with NIL and all of the different changes.
The portal and all this shit. Yeah.
And I want to save it. That's why we're here. There's so many pieces of the puzzle that have to come together. There's no representative on the player side that's going to say that. I mean, there's just no organization.
It worries me that this thing's going to implode somehow, and that's what's sad to me, because you and I both love, college football and amateur athletics. So I want to stop it before it implodes.
I'm going to go one step further, Jeff.
Okay,
I think
go.
it's imploding before our eyes. And you and I are trying to stop the implosion.
Okay. I love that.
I think it's already half gone right now, and it's on its way to full gone. It's way past I don't know if we can save it.
But it accelerated that fast that you have to, somebody's got to stop it. We're going to try to stop. We're suggesting how to stop it. We're going to save college football. Somebody's going to save college football. I might as well start here. And I do, before we close out, I'm going to throw this on a way different tangent. I saw last night that the alleged rape victim from the Duke lacrosse team finally said it was a lie. And my shout out is, you know what I did? You know what I did, L dude? I had fantastic lies from 30 for 30 about the Duke lacrosse case. And I watched it last night after that dumbass finally admitted that she lied about it. 18 years later, thanks. I mean, to all those Duke lacrosse players, I'm sure you're not listening, but if you are, or if somebody knows one of those guys and the families and stuff like that, we love you guys. And then I hope that I want to hear from them kind of soon, don't you? Because they've been silent all this time.
Absolutely, Jeff. I like you bringing this up, because now we're doing like something that just happened yesterday. We're talking about it today. Mm-hmm. And I love that. Not only do I want to hear from the Duke players, but I would like to also hear from some of the sheriff and police department.
Yeah, who was
people
silent.
And the prosecutors who withheld the DNA evidence that would have cleared them in the first few, I'm going to say months,
at least,
if not the first few weeks of the investigation. It was a farce from the very beginning. It was mishandled by our justice system.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to hear some of those people say they're sorry. I'd like to hear from the players themselves, because they put up with the last 18 years of this being
bullshit, basically.
part of their lives.
Yeah.
And absolutely. Accountability, Jeff, in today's world, sometimes the importance of accountability is overlooked. And we need to get back to where people actually do their fucking jobs.
In the media, especially.
The media, the justice system.
Yes.
Sometimes it's not slam dunk, easy money. Take the first person that comes along. You got to dig in. You got to evaluate. Don't start with the end in mind of they're guilty and then prove them guilty. How about if they're innocent and you prove that they're innocent?
Yeah. So if anybody out there that listens to this, if you haven't, seen that 30 for 30 episode from ESPN called Fantastic Lies, and heard this, this woman decide to fess up to it 18 years later, I encourage you to watch it. Now, I'm going to give full disclosure. I'm not a Duke fan whatsoever. It
makes two of us.
I don't. I mean, I could go on for another 30 minutes. Why, screw Duke and stuff like that. I mean, I spell it DOOK. So I'm not a Duke fan. I'm not a Dookie. I'm not I'm not biased toward them. Matter of fact, I'm completely opposite. But these guys got royally fucked. Their families got royally fucked. And it was some amazing, the work from the defense attorneys and everything like that. And the team sticking together. And that's what, you know what? Watch Fantastic Lies, like I said again, because it's a team, man, that just bonded together, and you just got to watch it. I'm not gonna tell you anything about it. You got to check it out. And I'm not an ESPN honk either. God dang it! So don't even think that. But anything else there, hell, dude?
No, I agree with you 100%. There was a lot of poor performance on the prosecution side of that case.
Oh boy,
that could have been alleviated. It could have been fixed right in the
never should have been brought. And
yet these guys were not given the benefit of the doubt and prosecuted with withheld evidence and
false evidence.
It became, yes.
That's serious shit, dude. I mean, that
is.
These kids, man. I mean, they're facing life in prison. So, I just wanted to mention that because after I saw that yesterday, I felt compelled, since we're talking about college athletics. I know we've already saved college football. So, but if everybody implements the changes that we want or that should be, but. This is also college athletics as well. So I felt compelled to bring that up, man, and I appreciate that.
No, I love it. I think that in the future, if you and I can do some 1 or 2 day reactionary podcasts on the news of the day and just talk about that. Because now that we've saved college football,
yes,
we can talk about the topics of the day, and I would love to. And this is a huge one.
Yeah.
And it's a huge miscarriage of justice. It's a huge, just incredible story
yeah,
that never needed to happen. If people would have just did their fucking jobs.
Yep.
To the fullest of their capabilities, this would have never happened. And we're 18 years later, and the damage to these young men's lives
and their families
cannot be
Can't be erased.
Changed.
There can't be erased.
Erased.
It's
changed. Erased.
So.
And so I'm so glad that you touched on it. And it's a great way to end the podcast. And thank you, Jeff, for everything.
I love you, my brother.
I love you too.
And